His method is brutal. His weapon is the beat. And his latest tracks are about to blow your mind. If he likes the way you move, he decides the way you dance.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ferry Corsten. This is Corsten's Countdown.
Yo, welcome to Corsten's Countdown, number 359, with me, Ferry Corsten. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As you know, Corsten's Countdown is a chart show where you are in control of the music. And right after this show, you can vote for your favorite track of this episode via CORSTEN'sCountdown.com. Your vote is very important, and you will help to decide which 3 tracks I'm going to play again next week in the Corsten's Countdown Top 3. So remember, your vote does count.
Last week's Corsten's Countdown Top 3.
Before we start with the show, it's time first for a quick overview of the Corsten's Countdown Top 3 of last week.
3.
Last week's number 3 was Flare, a new track from Pax.
2.
At number 2 last week, Runaway, a collaboration between Jazz, Cold Blue and Dennis Shepard.
1.
And we had a new number 1 last week, and that was Vicus, a track from the Spanish-based DJ producer Dimension. Do we find Vicus at number 1 again this week, or do we have a new number 1 this week? Make sure you stay here, because at the end of this episode, I will tell you which 3 tracks made it into this week's Corsten's Countdown Top 3. As always, I've selected lots of great new tracks for you for this week's show. In the next hour, you can listen to new music from Tritonal and Blohm. I have a new track from Max Graham for you guys, and later in the show you'll also hear a new track from Mike Saint-Jules. And that one is taken from the upcoming In Trance We Trust number 20 compilation. And I'm going to give away 3 copies of that one later in the show as well, so make sure you stay here. This week's Listener's Choice is a track from a US-based DJ producer, a track that came out in 2012, and it was one of my favorite releases that year. Do you want to know which track I'm talking about here? You will hear it in about 30 minutes time. If you use Twitter, then please make sure to follow and use the hashtag Corsten's Countdown during the show so you can stay up to date about everything regarding Corsten's Countdown. Alright guys, enough talking for now. It's time for the music. The first track in today's show is a track from Dutch duo Vicetone. This is Ensemble.
There's no stopping him. Corsten's Countdown. Are you ready to dance? Corsten's Countdown.
Oh, shit!
This was No Traces, an upcoming release on Flashover Electro House, and that is a release of Holl and Rush. Up next, the Alan Morris remix of Colors, and that is a new track from Tritonal and Blohm featuring Sterling Fox.
Hi, this is Chad.
And this is Dave. And we are Tritonal.
And you are listening to our new track on Corsten's Countdown.
Saw them dancing in your eyes like shadows in the night, doing pirouettes around the stars. We were running in the haze, I remember every shade hit my veins and they shot up sparks. Words fell from your lips, and all I heard was white noise in the dark. But when you looked away, I remember every shade. So let your colors run tonight. We're painting in the dark. Let your colors run tonight. Your colors of your heart. Let your colors run tonight. We're painting in the dark. Let your colors run tonight. Your colors of your shadows in the night, doing pirouettes around the stars. We were running in the haze, I remember every shade hit my veins and they shot up sparks. Words fell from your lips, and all I heard was white noise in the dark. But when you looked away, I remember every shade. So let your colors run tonight. We're painting in the dark. Let your colors run tonight. Your colors of your heart. Let your colors run tonight. We're painting in the dark. Let your colors run tonight. Your colors of your
Ferry Corsten.
A DJ who operates up of the law.
oh,
what you've been waiting for. It will take more than just the skills. He knows the score. He brings you the latest and the best. Corsten's Countdown.
You just heard 2K14, a new track from Koka. Up next, a new track from the hands of Max Graham. After releases such as Sun in the Winter, Nothing Else Matters, and The Evil ID, he is back with Purple.
Hi, this is Max Graham, and you're listening to my new track here on Corsten's Countdown. 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 Countdown.
Corsten's Countdown, your number one dance show. Corsten. This is Corsten's Countdown.
Infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Please don't forget to vote for your favorite track of this show via CORSTEN'sCountdown.com. Your vote is very important and you can help to decide which tracks will make it into the weekly Corsten's Countdown Top 3. You just heard Space Renegade, a new track from Mike Saint-Jules, and that one is taken from the upcoming 20th edition of In Trance We Trust. And that edition is mixed by Mike Saint-Jules, Snyder and Mena de Jong. And I'm going to give away 3 copies of that one. The only thing you have to do is to let me know why you deserve one of those 3 copies. Please email me a good reason plus your full address details to contest@ferrycorsten.com. Good luck! You're listening to Corsten's Countdown number 359 with me, Ferry Corsten. After a few weeks in Asia, I'm back in Europe. This Friday you can see and hear me at the Savoy Theatre in Cork in Ireland. And on Saturday it's time for some New World Punks action in the Netherlands. Marcus Schulz and myself will play there at the Sand in Amsterdam. And other DJs that night are Seed Van Riel and Coma. Please make sure to check out ferrycorsten.com for more info about me, all my tour dates and everything regarding Corsten's Countdown, and of course the free weekly Corsten's Countdown podcast. Alright guys, it's time for the listener's choice of this week. And this week I picked a track from 2012. It was one of my favorite tracks of that year. I'm talking about Language, a track from Porter Robinson. And that one got requested via Facebook by Sophie Dijkstra from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Here it is, this week's listener's choice, Porter Robinson and the beautiful Language.
Corsten's Countdown, listener's choice. Always on the beat, there's no stopping him. Let the music carry you. Bring that beat back. Corsten's Countdown. Corsten's Countdown. Top 3.
Alright, it's time to announce the results of last week's voting. This is the Corsten's Countdown Top 3. At number 3 this week, the Audien remix of Revolution, a track from Rehab, Nervo and Ummet Ozcan.
3.
Keeps on fighting, it keeps on. I got a heart that keeps on trying, it keeps on. We got this plan that keeps evolving, it keeps on. Even when our hope is broken, we keep on. Keep on. For us to prove, so keep on. There's so much for us to do, 'cause we can start a revolution. You and me, I say we'll start a revolution. Just you and me. I got a love that keeps on fighting, it keeps on. I got a heart that keeps on trying, we keep on. Keep on. There's so much for us to prove, so keep on. There's so much for us to do, 'cause we can start a revolution. You and me, I say we'll start a revolution. You and me, I say we'll start a revolution. You and me.
stopping him. Corsten's Countdown. Are you ready to dance?
This was the number 2 of this week. The listener's choice of last week, Must Be the Love from Arty, Nadia Ali and BT.
It's time to vote right now.
Alright guys, the voting for this week's show is open now. You can now vote for your favorite track of this episode via CORSTEN'sCountdown.com. And of course you can also vote via the Ferry Corsten app, which you can download for free via ferrycorsten.com/app. Alright, it's time to announce the number 1 of this week. And there we find it for the second week in a row, the great Vicus. And that is a new track from Dimension. Congratulations, buddy. Thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to vote. And until next week, later.
1. This is Corsten's Countdown.
Shit.